Hey there. So we are halfway through. Can you believe it? Well, almost halfway through. By the end of this week, we'll be halfway through the class. And pretty much everybody is doing a good job keeping up or keeping me in the loop. If you get behind on something, that's critical. Don't just not do stuff and not say anything. But a lot of people are saying, illnesses have come up, lots of reasons, right? So just keep me in the loop. So in this video, I want to do a couple of things. I want to give you a couple of pieces of advice for how to keep track or how to help us keep track of what you're doing. And then I also want to quickly go through what we are doing this week, because this is a fun week. I kind of think every week's a fun week, even though it's a lot of stuff, but it's fun topics. At least I hope so. I think they're fun. So one of the pieces of advice I want to give you is that when you post to Discord, there's two things. Use the tags, and you'll see people are putting like a little note in the front of their post, and it might say digital media, or it might say, whatever, and it's in bold. The reason that's important is because I'm scanning through like 40 people's stuff, and I want to make sure that I can find your thing that is for the thing you want me to find it for. I know that doesn't make quite a lot of sense. I'm experimenting a little bit because I didn't want you jumping back and forth on discussion spaces. And Discord introduced this new thing called Threads fairly recently that makes it actually a little more usable as a discussion forum. So you're not jumping into Moodle for some discussions and into Discord for some discussions. We're just using Discord. However, with that comes a few housekeeping things. So putting that tag on the beginning of your post, making it really clear the name of the assignment, or if I say use this tag, whatever it is, do that. But the second thing is use the threads to comment on other people's work, okay? Or ask questions or engage or whatever you're gonna do. Use threads. So if somebody doesn't already have a thread, let's say they made a post on their LinkedIn profile, they don't already have a thread, just create one. Like if they haven't done it, go ahead and do it, and then have whatever discussion you're having on that thread. If there's already one there, like for the LinkedIn feedback, then by all means, just respond to it. But keep everything in a thread, because then we can easily scan down the list of posts, see who's writing about what. Now, I have noticed that when you create a Discord thread, it puts a note saying, hey, so-and-so created a Discord thread. If you want, just delete that little announcement. It doesn't delete the thread. It just deletes the post that says there is a thread. Anyhow, those two things. Use the tags, use the threads. It'll make it a lot easier for me to find your stuff, which is a good segue to the gradebook. There is a lot of stuff coming in, and whatever you guys do, I do times 30 or 40. And so I'm doing my best to keep up. Some things like extra credit will get posted later than things like regular assignments. But in general, Sunday and Monday are the days where I do class prep and where I do grading. Although I have been trying to keep stuff up as we go in between. You will get an opportunity to give me some feedback and say, hey, I'm missing some points here, or you didn't get that assignment there. Like, I'm not going to just plow ahead and miss your stuff. So look on the gradebook. If it says submitted, that means I've seen it. I just haven't had a chance to get it graded yet, but it does mean I've seen it and I will get to it. So help me stay on track, post things where they're supposed to get posted, tag things with what they're supposed to get tagged. If I tell you to send it to notes, do that. Just follow the submission instructions, and we'll get it. I'm getting caught up, so I'm almost caught up on all of that. Let's see, was there anything else class business-wise? I don't think so. I think that's like the main thing. So why don't we just jump in to looking at a couple of things. Let me do a screen share. Oh, by the way, does anybody know what this is behind me and why I would possibly have it this week? There's a couple of things behind me. Kind of looks like a record player for those of us that are old enough to remember what in the heck a record player is. Well, let's see if we can tell what it might be. So I jumped to the schedule because I get a feeling some people aren't really using this as a good tool, but other people are. And when you come to the schedule, actually any Google Doc just open up the menu, open up the outline, because then you can just jump right down to the part that you want. And I use headings and everything, so I try to make my outlines pretty easy to follow. So that's my recommendation. Anyhow, in week 3 here, whoops, don't want to see that. In week 3 here, we're covering a couple of different topics: digital media, computer software, and computer hardware. So what's that thing behind me? I'll give you a hint. It has to do with computer hardware, and you will learn about it. Now, we do have part 4, submit 1 of the Reliable Sources project, but you can't do that until I get you feedback on part 2 and 3. So if you've already submitted part 2 and 3, or if you submit it by tonight, then I'm working my way through it, and I'll get those back to you. My promise is to get them all back by Wednesday. So that way you have a full week to work on this piece of the project. And there's a whole video about how to do that one, so I'm not gonna go into that too much. Let me jump over to Moodle itself. Start here. You're already watching the video, so now you know what we're doing this week. And then we've got it broken into 3 sections: digital media, and there's a series of videos under this tile, the PK original ones. There's the photo safari part 1, and that's going to help you do the assignment. And then there's a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that one kind of ties into our reliable sources fake news from last week, but specifically has to do with pictures and video. And there's some things in there like with artificial intelligence and advertising, just some interesting things that you're gonna probably want to check out. And then art versus reality is the final piece of the series. And I take a look at where's the fine line. So, we edit things and that's fairly easy. And is there a tipping point between art and reality, and what's okay and what's not okay? And are there any unintended consequences from any of that? The last piece on here are the slides. And so if you open up the slides, then that goes along with the videos, and there's lots and lots of links to click, which obviously can't click in the video. So you may want to pull the slides open and just go along with it, and then stop the video and check some things out. There's some really beautiful videos in this part 1 about how to take digital pictures. Anyhow, lots of resources there for you to use. This next part in Learn, how I built this Instagram. So this is a podcast from NPR, and they interview the founders of Instagram. And some crazy stuff happened right in the beginning. I actually had no idea how Instagram got off the ground. And now it's one of the most popular sites on the internet. And so if you want to know a little bit more behind the scenes, go ahead and watch that podcast or listen to that podcast. Now, keep in mind, if you watched the Unlocking Success video in chapter 1, you're going to remember the hierarchy of things, how to spend your time. So hierarchy number 1, watch any PK originals. Number 2, if there's any other resources. And then scan over the GCF Learn if you feel like you need to, just look at it. It'll give you an idea of what kind of things are there for that given topic. And then finally, scan over the chapter. But reading over the chapter should be last, actually, because it will it'll let you fill in some of the gaps from some of the other resources, and you can use it to take the quiz. So always start with the PK originals. In this segment, we have a quiz and a photo safari, and I'll hit the 2 projects at the end. So let me just keep going. Our next segment is computer software. And some people get really confused about this, like what's an app, what's a program, what is software? And we're going to talk about that in this section. But there's 2 really interesting videos in the think part. This thing about using a global hackathon to solve the coronavirus pandemic. And then something you need to know about stalkerware, which just the word sounds bad. So you probably want to watch that. Again, there's a couple of PK original videos about software where I take you through some different things and the slides that go along with it. How is software distributed? How is it created? There's a lot of interesting things there. The GCF Learn, for the presentation software tips and tricks, because we're going to do presentation software. The stuff by PowerPoint is hilarious in kind of an annoying way, but it tells you all the things you shouldn't do. And then public speaking, this is a quick video that gives you some good tips. And then 25 ways to nail your presentation. Because after all, the whole point of learning presentation software is to give a presentation. And again, I'll get to that in just a minute. Slides Carnival is a great resource, tons of templates for software, presentation software. And once more, the software tutorials from GCF Learn. So there's a set of tutorials on operating systems, on what is an application, and then on Google Slides itself. So remember, those are, scan over it, see if there's any topics there, if you feel like you need to fill in some gaps. And then down in the do, we've got presentation software and a quiz. So part 4 is about computer hardware. And one of the interesting things is there's a ton of chemistry that powers your phone that nobody even thinks about. And the self-assembling computer chips of the future, like what if computers can build themselves? That's a little weird. Coming down here to the Learn section, computer hardware inside your computer. This is a set of videos that actually shows you what's inside the computer. This how hard drives works is fascinating because it's like an airplane flying over a football field looking for a blade of grass. That needs just watch the short video. And then another set, computer hardware, like what happens when you flip on your computer? Like what is that process? How computer memory actually works. And then just this nice video, like we talked about megabytes and gigabytes and terabytes and petabytes, and, you know, all these things. What the heck is all that? And so she gives some really nice comparisons about what that all is. And again, we've got our GCF tutorials and we've got our chapter quiz. And for the hardware, there's not really a do. If we were in class, we'd go on a scavenger hunt and take apart computers, but we're not. And then finally, we have the reliable sources, part 5 or part 4. So this one won't be due Saturday. This one's not due until next Wednesday. Okay, because remember, I've got to get you stuff. And I may not get it to you until this Wednesday. So it'll give you a full week to do the one things on this part of the project. And then finally, in our wrap up, we're going to just do a logging out because I've noticed that the takeaways get wrapped into a lot of the other things we do. And so I get the information I'm looking for that way. And it's just one less thing for you to have to worry about. But the logging out journal this week will be just a little different. So let me jump over to the 2 projects. The Photo Safari project does have a whole video that goes with it. Like I mentioned in the digital media videos, talks all about how to actually do this project. And it's a really fun project because you get to go out and take pictures. And just about everybody has a phone these days or some means of taking pictures. That's one of the technologies that has really distributed itself through society. And so just follow the instructions, open up the document outline. It'll show you the grade rubric. It'll break it down into different things. There's a big question to think about, especially after you watch the other 2 parts of the digital media videos. You're going to have a lot to think about and then share and discuss. So it tells you how to do it. So jump through that. The other project is presentation software, and same thing, always open up the document outline because it gives you the table of contents you can jump through. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because, again, this has its own video. The thing I'm going to say is don't freak out. Some people love talking, especially on video. Other people, they'd rather like chew on broken glass, right? But whichever it is, it's a skill to learn how to use presentation software and to learn how to present. And so you'll be creating a presentation that's only 2 to 4 minutes long. You'll record it in Zoom, just like I'm doing this video, showing slides, showing yourself. Or if you have some other software you like to record, some people have Camtasia and Screencast-O-Matic. There's a lot of things I talk about in the video for this project. And then you'll submit it at the end of the week. And then next week, I'll put together a playlist for your team and all the people in your team that submitted a video. And then we'll get to do constructive feedback on that. So you get some feedback on it from more than just me, which is good because I don't have the only opinions out here. Anyhow, we got a packed week, lots of software-y, hardware-y things. in the pipeline, but I think you'll find it useful and I think you'll find it interesting. And I hope you take advantage of the tools. And a lot of you are taking advantage of the help desk and about asking questions on your notes channel. So just know I'm right here with you, okay? Don't stop, just keep plugging away, schedule your time, use the schedule. We'll get it, we're almost there.